Hey folks, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with AstrologyMojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. So I'm feeling a little in the nebula today. I have actually Neptune behind me. And we're talking about Saturn entering the constellation of Pisces on March 7th. And it'll be there until February of 2026. But it'll retrograde back and go forward. But we're going to talk about that throughout the next 2+ years. But I just want to let you know that if you're new to me and you are not familiar with transformational astrology, the planets don't do anything to you. We live in a cooperation with the cosmos. You've come to this earth as a sentient, celestial, eternal being. You are pure conscious love. You are creating your reality. So when you look at astrology or numerology or any of the modalities deemed metaphysical, you are using tools like you would a tuning fork, like you would a lab report if you got a blood test. So you're just seeing what you're creating in real time. And so I like to use astrology and this was my evolution, because I started out believing that, oh, when Mercury was retrograde, the thing was doing it to you. No, it's not. The planet's not conscious of its movements. Unless you're an originist, which was developed back in the 3rd or 4th century. There are some originists today that still believe that the planets are conscious of their movements and controlling you. I do not, however. So let's take it from there. We are talking about Saturn, the planet that represents certain things that I'll talk about, entering the constellation of Pisces. Now, typically the end of every month, I do oracle readings, but this was coming up and I'm not going to be here next week. So I wanted to really get into it ahead of time before we got there, just to give you a heads up. Like last time we talked about Pluto entering the few months into Aquarius to give you a glimpse at what you're creating on that level. And now we're going to look at bringing the dream into being, making it real. And that is with Saturn entering the constellation of Pisces. Now, let me just show you what it looks like. Come say hello to me. Okay, so here, and I have like curly things going on. Okay, so today is February 23rd, 2023. Oh, 23. Let's have some fun. We are 4 degrees Pisces sun. And where is our Saturn? Way up right next to the sun. And it is conjunct, moving out of conjunction, but it is 28 degrees of Aquarius. So by March 7th, watch my program. It is spectacular. When Saturn, the planet is 0 degrees Pisces. And there it is. 0 degrees Pisces. So let's just work on the premise that we're already there, because that's how you bring the future to you. You manifest it by feeling it now. So let's feel what it's like to have Saturn in Pisces now. And that only means that you are ready to do something that you've been dreaming about. Or the dream actually becomes real and now it feels like magic. Or let me break it down. Saturn represents the part of you that has the long, steady climb to the top, the ambition. And the symbol of Saturn is a goat, mountain goat with the tail of a dolphin, because as it guides the sign of Capricorn, it used to guide Aquarius, until Uranus was discovered. But as it guides the sign of Capricorn, it is being that ambitious, like a goat climbing, but keeping that part of you in the unconscious ocean of consciousness until you need it. So there's a spirituality to it. There's an infinite to it. So that Saturn, with that symbol, is now entering the constellation of Pisces on March 7th of 2023. It's going to feel like, oh, I know that. Like you get a reading And it's with a numerologist, and you say, I'm remembering now. I'm remembering that I used to think about certain numbers. And or you get a reading with an astrologer and you say, oh, I have an affinity for astrology, but how would I make it a business? Right. So, or you're drawn to becoming sober. Now, sober can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Either you stop the addictive behavior toward work, chemical substance, to specific behaviors that you have that bring certain people into your life, because everything is attraction. Everything is attraction. You are attracting everything in your life. Look at your life. You've made that. And everything is attraction. Did I say that? All right, I'm going to say it again. You are attracting everything. So now with Saturn, being that part of you that is feeling responsible, feeling like you have to get ahead, that you're going to endure, you're going to make it work, you're going to find a way, but you think you have to struggle, and or you think that you have to go to the 11th hour and wait till the very last minute before you do the thing, because you get that rush of feeling alive. So that's like the goat standing on the edge. Ever see a mountain goat with standing on like the precipice that's like 4 inches wide? And it's like, wow, that's pretty scary. But at the same time, it makes you feel alive. Like, I climbed so hard to get to the top and I made it. Now in Pisces, so Saturn is considered one of the 2 karmic planets. And Saturn is the authority, but usually kowtows to the authority until to be humble, to work with the team. And there's a lot of times that those with heavy duty Capricorn placements or heavy duty Saturn placements, like those of you who were born between 1993 and 1996, you were born with Saturn in Pisces, you're about to have a Saturn return. Saturn returns to the original position of the time you were born, which only means you're ready to go to the next level and set some boundaries and become the boss of you. So in a general sense, this is a general read, you're looking at taking the dream, which is Neptune. Neptune is the magic, the dream, the music, the video, the film, the illusion. It's like a fairy glamour. It's like, I could put on makeup and get dressed up and you think this is what I look like. Now, there are women in the world in the past, and I'm sure still today, that wear makeup to bed, and where their husbands or spouses or mates, regardless of gender, have never seen the real look. So that's the illusion of Pisces. That's why it's considered magical and mystical. Now, Pisces is guided by Neptune, the other karmic planet. So here we have 2 karmic energies coming together, and karma only means the action on the path. It is not indicative of payback. Okay? No, it's not. Dharma is the path. Karma is the action on the path. We're clear? Let's check that box and move on. All right. So what are we looking at with Saturn in Pisces? It's going to be that thing that you've had. Maybe it was an issue dealing with your health, depending on where Saturn in Pisces is in your chart. Because, and I use equal house system, I feel it's one of the most accurate. And there's over 30 systems, and I don't include, well, Vedic is a system, but it's a completely different approach. But I'm talking about Placidus, Regiomontanus, the Koch system, Alcabitius. I mean, there's so many different systems. There's whole sign, but equal sign to me. And I had a client ask me the other day, oh, is this similar? Is equal house similar to whole sign? And I said, yes, it's very similar. However, equal house, it has a nuance and it gets closer to the actual information. Whole sign is just 0 degrees for each house. So, but here we have, like I can go 12th house to first house, or first house to second house, because in equal house astrology, it's calculated per second and the longitude. Anyway, I'm not going to get technical. So what are we looking at? Saturn in Pisces. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? What do you want to get over? What part of yourself do you want to get over? What? I don't know. And I think I just lost some people. They were watching and then it was like, what is she talking about? Okay, here's what I'm talking about. You had a dream, not to quote anyone, but you had a dream. And maybe that dream was playing piano. Maybe that dream was bodybuilding. Maybe that dream was becoming an artist. Whatever the dream was, now you're looking at how can I implement certain strategies to make that dream real? Now we're going to bring the two things together and it's going to happen over time. It's not going to be immediate. Saturn is not an immediate thing and Neptune gets lost in the weeds. So it's like, ooh, that's pretty color. I'll go over there. Well, wait a minute. Come back. We were focused on this right here. So Saturn, with that regimented, strict, stoic energy, that is part of you, whether you activate it or use it or not, or whether you use it way too much, now couples with the, ooh, that's pretty, or I want to do that. That's fun. And so then you bring those two energies together and say, well, let's see how we can do that. How would you like to make this work? And the how will always come to you because your higher inner being is showing you the how. Symbolism is the how. If you left your phone on, here's a little tip. If you're not using your phone, put it in airplane mode because what happens is and you have an Instagram account or a Facebook account, you are being heard and then information is being repurposed and targeted toward you for marketing. So you might be talking about, oh my gosh, these pharmaceutical, my husband and I yesterday were laughing at a commercial. We were watching a show and the pharmaceutical commercial came on and it was to help stop dizziness. And one of the side effects was dizziness. I mean, we laughed so hard. And so we were talking about it. Now I had my phone right next to me and it was on. And I had Instagram open because I was checking something in a post. And I wake up this morning and there's Ismo, who's a stand-up comic, and he's talking about pharmaceutical companies. So the algorithms are calculated toward your desires. It seems like magic, doesn't it? It's like, oh, I was just talking about that, and look at that came up. Well, it's not magic. It's technology. And again, when we look at Saturn, it's making it real. It's the practical. It's the foundation. I would look at opposite signs and planets. So Saturn guides Capricorn, whether it's sun, rising, or moon, or you have a planet in Capricorn, but the Capricorn energy that working really hard, feeling responsible, sometimes overly responsible, sometimes so responsible that they have to cut out and go imbibe because it's like, I got to, 1,000 carbs, the wine, the edibles, the cigarette, whatever, just to calm down the intensity of I'm so freaking responsible and I have to do it for everyone. You don't have to do it for everyone. It's not your job. So why are you assuming that it is? Guilt. I'm talking two karmic planets come together and make it seem like, not that they're doing it to you, but it seems like, I should probably, I'm going to take my last $10 and I will spend it all on the food bank because I already have food in the refrigerator. Okay. If you come from a place of guilt or obligation, Saturn, you create a vibration of lack and scarcity. And then we move into Neptune, which guides Pisces. And that's, all right, I'll be the martyr. Yeah. So what are you going to create from those energies? Nothing good. Right? I'm talking the truth. But instead you can switch it to the higher vibe of each of these things. So the opposite of Saturn in astrology would be Cancer, right? Capricorn would be Cancer. So one is the moon and one is Saturn. And so it's like Saturn, Capricorn, builds the structure for care, for caring for your family, for caring for yourself, for caring for a cause. And then Cancer, the moon, fills it with the necessary elements for that care. So we have a combo of energies now with Saturn in Pisces. The moon is a water sign. Cancer is a water sign. And Saturn is an guides Capricorn, which is an earth sign. Now we have an earth sign mixing with another water sign. So it's like, I'm just going to swim over here, and then I'm going to swim over here. And that's the Pisces fish energy. And I'm just going to see what my extremes are. What are my contradictions? What are my extremes? If I say, yeah, I want to go do that, but then I take zero action toward that thing, I'm in a state of illusion. I'm in a state of separation. Does that make sense? Hey, Lucy's here. Come say hello to me. We are talking about Saturn. Saturn in Pisces starting on March 7th. So wherever Saturn in Pisces shows up in your chart, it's going to be about getting down to business, but using vibrational healing, using spiritual metaphysical methods, using art, poetry, imagery, magic, that dreamy sense of, I can make this work. I have faith. I believe. I trust. And so combining those two things to bring it together and dream it, literally dream it into being. Now, when I went to Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long intensive, there were many people who were just starting out with meditation. And I mean, he doesn't do meditation. He does coherence training. And coherence training is getting your awareness into the void, into the the quantum field. And it is so powerful, and it is so magical. It feels like magic because instantaneous, spontaneous healing, spontaneous, instantaneous, almost feels like magic. Ideas or situations, it was like, wow, I lost my pen. And somebody walks by and says, hey, I have an extra pen. You want one? And you're like, did I just do that? We collaborated. So we collaborated with something practical and something spiritual. So there is physical and there is metaphysical. So the physical is Capricorn, Saturn. The metaphysical is Neptune, Pisces. Does that make sense? So I want to see you go to a place in the next 2.5 years. I know we're just beginning, but I like to catch things at the beginning. When a planet is about to traverse a constellation and enter another one, what we are feeling is, I mean, we feel everything, but what we're really feeling is our need to elevate a frequency. It's all about energy, folks, right? It's all about frequency and energy. So without our bodies, we're still energy. We still exist. Without the physical form, which we think makes us separate, and then we squash our feelings and we don't feel everything, Neptune, Pisces. Sometimes it's overwhelming. So we have to, we have to numb it with a lot of TV, video games, edibles, really rich carbs that put us to sleep. Or we get so involved in the transformational process, everything is magical. And we're handing out flowers at the airport, and we're trying ayahuasca, and then we go and we try psilocybin, and then we go and we drop some LSD, and then we go over there and we're like, yeah, music, man, it takes me to that other plane. Well, you're experiencing different frequencies. There's no judgment on it. You do what you want to do. But if you want to accomplish something in physical 3D form by merging, and this is my gig, to merge biology with divinity. Let me just move this for a second. You want to merge biology with divinity? This is the period in time with Pluto and Aquarius, the 5-month, let me see, March, April, May, June, 4-month. It's going to be there just to give you a taste of what I just had an experience. Okay. My husband and I are going away for a week. And so I won't be here next Thursday. But when I was thinking about, we were thinking about leaving tomorrow, but we're going to leave today because it might snow, etc. So we thought, okay, we'll just do the practical thing, and we'll go down to Phoenix, and we'll get a quick, hotel right near the airport, and then we'll fly out early in the morning. So I had been thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be fun to do something in Phoenix? something that we haven't done, because, our thing is to do one new thing a day. Excuse me. And whether it costs money or not, just one new music, one new food, switch up the schedule, do something different. One new thing a day. It keeps the patterns from solidifying, and you get to create new neural pathways. So again, I was talking about it with my husband, and also singing different songs. I like to sing a lot, and music. And I was like, just talking about, oh, it's magical, or it's mystical, or gosh, wouldn't it be cool in a visual? And then all of a sudden I come across an ad called Beautifica. Has anybody heard of it? Okay. Well, it's a 1-hour planetarium show at the Science Center in Phoenix. I'm sure it's around the country, designed by someone, James Hood. No, I forget his name. He's an artist. And it's, you lie back and you look up and there's music, and it's like you are like going through planetary systems and seabeds and forests, and there's colors and light and sound, and I thought, oh, this will be fun. That'll be a trip. We'll be tripping without, imbibing. So we're going to do that. So that's part of what I'm talking about. You'll be introduced to new things that will open your mind. And then what those things will help you to do is to solidify, you know what? That just gave me permission. Somehow it stimulated something in my nervous system. It helped me to realize that those dreams that I've been having are symbols, are messages, are something from my higher self, my starseed team and spirit, my passed on loved ones. Something's happening, right? So it's like, until you're able to articulate it, Saturn in Pisces is going to be, here's some dreaming stuff. Here's some nebula stuff. Ooh, I just meditated. I just tried a low dose of psilocybin, but it was controlled in an environment with a therapist, and I just healed something. I just tried something. And Neptune also represents Pisces. Neptune also represents medicine. So it could be a different type of healing procedure that you're moving toward. And that's why I keep bringing up psilocybin or something like that. And I know of someone who is going to be doing that in a controlled environment to overcome some stuckness. And that's the Saturn part. It's like Saturn brings up the fear. Pluto represents the core TNT for your psyche and the power that you have, but the fear around it. Everyone has a seed of this. It's like, if I express myself, I remember almost 30 years ago when my husband and I became friends, and I went into something emotional, and he was washing dishes in his kitchen, and I was sitting having a cup of tea and a cookie, and he was talking about something, and whatever he was talking about had nothing to do with my issue. But suddenly I felt like, this person is so kind, and I was holding back the tears. And I thought if I expressed myself and I was too emotional, he would go away. I don't know where that thought came from. So what he did, being a stand-up comic, what Dean did was, I started to cry, and he looked at me and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I don't know. And I just started crying. And I just said, I just have this fear, and I don't know what it is yet. I wasn't able to name it 30 years ago, but it was abandonment. And because it was my pattern, I was afraid that if I was who I was, the real me, people would go away. But I never could articulate that. I would just keep attracting people who would go away the moment I opened up and said, this is the real me. And so I would squash myself and make myself small. That's a Saturn thing. I'm a Capricorn rising, right? But it didn't make me be that way. I was that way, and I overcame that way. So my husband is standing, he stops washing the dishes, and he gets a glass of water, and he's standing in the doorway, not far from where I'm sitting. And he's being very empathetic. And he's like, and he's listening, and he takes the glass of water, and like he's going to drink it. He puts the cup under his mouth. He opens his mouth, and the water just poured right out. It just made me laugh. And then I cried even more. And he hugged me, and he said, "You let it out. It's okay. Whatever it is." And that's when I realized I was in a safe environment. I realized that I was able to connect to another living thing, whether it was an animal, a child, a person, a plant, a tree, and I was able to express myself, and he didn't go away. That was huge. So that was 30 years ago. You know, I go to much different places now. It's like, how do I leave my body and come back and not be dizzy? That's where I go now because that's what I do. I will astral project or, have a reading, and I am nowhere near the earth, but now I'm learning how to bring it down, bring it in, be healthy afterward, not starve myself. So it's like I'm being practical and I'm being spiritual. So what is it in your life that you want to do, that you want to accomplish, that you feel is like, I don't know, I have a fear. Oh, that's where I like to go. What's that fear about? What would happen if you let go of that thing? Who would you be? What's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? And keep going. What's the worst that could happen? I say this to everybody, all my clients for years. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is, you shake, you cry. Maybe someone in your life doesn't agree with you and says, I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm going. Goodbye. Because if you change your frequency and someone else does not match that frequency, bye bye. And it's okay. Now you're ready to move on and elevate your frequency. It's not about them not being enough or being too much of something. It's not about them. It's about you growing and getting very real. Does this make sense? A hello, like thumbs up. Please share, like, subscribe, get the word out. What we're talking about here, I'm going to pull a card. Even though I didn't do the oracle today and I won't be here next week, but when I come back, I will do a special oracle reading on, I don't even have my calendar out. I have no idea. The 9th. I think it's the 9th, March 8th, that Thursday. Just when Saturn goes into Pisces, I will do a special oracle reading for the group. How does that sound? All right, let me pull from my Universal Law of Conscious Creations. We have a very quiet audience today. All right. Did that make sense? Is that helping? So what is it that you want to create? What is it that you feel like you can't do? What's the boundary? Where does the boundary need to be set so you can do this thing? Oh, well, I've got a kid and I have to do this thing and, and I have 2 jobs. Okay. You're working. You have obligations and responsibilities. It's not about going to extremes. It's about 10 minutes a day. Where can you squeeze in 5 minutes a day to do some deep breathing uninterrupted? Turn off the phone, the TV, the computer. Where can you start moving your vibration toward that solidified feeling of, yeah, I want to become more intuitive? That means you have to be present. I would like to become an accomplished real estate investor. Well, you're going to study, you're going to learn, you're going to explore, but you have to be present while you're doing it, so that you can really benefit and accelerate your learning and your strategies. So whatever it is you want to do, being present is where you start. And then it's feeling. So Pisces, Neptune, I want to feel it. Even if it scares me, even if it's so exciting, I just want to, sometimes the energy is you get so excited, you're like, yeah, let's just have that cake and the champagne. And, we're going to temper the extremes during Pisces, Saturn and Pisces ride. And we're going to look at how does it feel? What's the vibration? How to move that vibration. Now, if you know me, I've said you can clap your hands, jump up and down. These are all neuro techniques. Your brain doesn't know what's real or imagined. That's a fact. And your brain will, it takes 3 positive thoughts to override 1 negative thought, because that's how your brain operates. So it's going to take a little bit of effort in the beginning to get it going, to push it to that place. And then you're realizing, I don't need to push. I just need to be present. How do I feel right now? I feel cranky. All right, well, now's not the time to profess your spiritual, intentions, except to say, this is how I feel. That's a vibration. You're acknowledging it. You're validating it. This is how I feel. How I would like to feel in 2 minutes is that way. I would like to feel calm, peaceful, serene. I would like to feel inspired. I would like to feel enthusiastic. So you pick something that you can move toward as a goal that is Saturn. It's very goal oriented. And without overwhelming or stacking all these things, like you have to juggle it and, I'm going to do it all right now. No, you're not. No extremes, no extremes, no extremes. And to quote Tom Papa, stand-up comic, you're doing great. Look at you. Look at you. You're here. You got dressed. You're doing great. Thank you, Tom Papa. So that's it. You're going to pull the extremes together and you're going to be as present as you possibly can be in the moment. How does that sound? Does that sound good? It's not that hard. Look, if I could do it, you could do it. All right, I'm going to pull a card from the, whoa. That was one. Let's see. That is free will. You have free will. You are the person in charge of you. You can make your choices based on how you feel is what you do anyway. You get really angry, you step on the gas on the road and the light's turning yellow and you're like, screw it, I'm going, I'm late. They made me late, I have to get there. And so this rage or this angst or this anger or this frustration is where you are at. So acknowledge that and then ask yourself, where would I like to be? You have to let it dissipate. Acknowledge where you are. It's not a fake it till you make it. It's acknowledging the point in time here. You're being validated because whatever energy you put out, it's going to come back to you. So you might come across, if you're frustrated, you might come across people who are equally frustrated. Or where you don't get your needs met. I've been waiting here 20 minutes. I called ahead. What the heck? Waha. Right? So you need to calm that down as best you can in the moment with the techniques. Burst into song for 5 seconds, jump up and down, clap your hands. On the clock, the professional will do nothing, 16 to 20 seconds. And that energy will dissipate and fade, but it's up to you to be present, to replace it with something that's much more conscious. And we want to look for symbolism, because that's telling you how you feel. That's telling you who you are. That's telling you what's happening on all levels of your being. And a 3, a 6 equals a 9. And a 2 and a 1 equals a 3. So it's all about perception, folks. Perception, beliefs. Your beliefs are going to start changing. Does that make sense? Does that help? All right. I'm going to pull one last card and remind yourselves that wherever you are the magnet for everything in your world. You are the magnet for everything in your world. Now, this card came up and it requires some conversation. This is the card of service. Now, it equals a 6. So a 3, 6, 9, we pulled a 3, 3, 6, a 2, 1 equals a 3, and a 1, 5 is a 6. So service is about family, humanity, and community. And so, but service does not mean at the sake of yourself. Okay. In an extreme situation, yes, it might. But in everyday life, as you're moving your frequency toward dream come true, making it real, dream it real, creating that structure that is real, then the service is about, do I choose to involve myself right now in that situation? Already trusting that whatever the situation entails, they're going to get their needs met. It doesn't have to be you. It is not your responsibility, Saturn. It is not your job, Saturn. It is the inkling of Saturn and Neptune to say, oh, we came here to serve. No, you didn't. You came here to create a reality. Do you like where you're living? Do you like what you do, how you think, what you eat, how you look, what you contribute to the world? Do you like the value system you put on yourself and others? If you don't, it's time for a transformation. That's it. So service to yourself is all about being present and saying, you know what? I'm not going to sacrifice myself right now. Sacrifice is a religious concept. And I am religious about my spirituality, but I do not, no longer do I sacrifice myself for others. That sounds so arrogant and negative, doesn't it? To some people, yeah. But it doesn't mean I don't give. I give when my heart is open because that vibration gives 1,000%. If I'm feeling tired, frustrated, obligated, I don't give. What am I going to give? It's going to be a tenth, a fraction, a minuscule dot, which to me doesn't measure up to what I know is possible. So think about that. Okay. You are in service to yourself first to make sure you're feeling okay, you're thinking clearly, you're in the mood. And if you're in the mood, you do it. If not, it's abusive. Okay. That thought is abusive. So you want to be kind to yourself and you do some fun, practical things. Fun, practical. Do something fun, do something practical. Do something spiritual, do something, metaphysics. Meta, beyond. You do something metaphysical, you do something physical. You start to create that harmony that equals infinity. There it is, folks. All right. I will be back. Remember to share, like, subscribe. I'll be back. I think I'm not looking at a calendar, but it's the first week of March and maybe it's March 7th or 8th. And then I will do an oracle reading then. All right. Of Saturn in Pisces. All right, my friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, as always, I wish you peace.